We're getting started.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the regular meeting of August 17th, 2021. One amendment to the agenda is some correspondence, which I will read at correspondence.
At the end.
I don't actually have a title for it. Is it? From infrastructure and highways.
Yeah, it's to do with District Heat.
Okay.
Make a motion to adopt the amended agenda.
I'll second.
Councilor Slager and Councilor Levante. Any questions?
No.
All in favor? Carried. All right. Adopt the minutes from the regular meeting of July 20th, 2021.
I think about to adopt the minutes.
I'll second it.
Councilor Hanchar and Councilor Slager. Any questions or comments?
One for me. No, thank you.
All in favor? Carried. Motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $464,282.21.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables.
Thank you, Councilor.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councilor DeVries. Any questions?
Yeah, Jay Gibson consultant, is that for?
That's our water monitoring. So he does our drinking water. He does this groundwater monitoring at the landfill and the lagoons, and our stormwater monitoring. It's done, most of it's done biannually, and that's part of our water license.
Sorry. I did have one question if you're done.
And there was the AYC for 11,000. Is that a membership?
Yeah, or an annual fee.
That's our annual fee, part of our annual fees.
My question was just about there are a couple of big charges on here that appear to happen twice in the same month. And I'm just wondering if that's because it didn't happen last month or if what was up with that?
Yeah. So those are,
For example, if I'm allowed to say that.
yeah, so you can bring one up, but I can tell you exactly what it is because of the fact that Grove's been off, and then we didn't have anybody fill in that seat. So now there's 2 months worth of payables on here. Now we're all caught up.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I thought we did payables last time.
We only did some, but it's been 6 weeks since your last meeting as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So all in favor of the motion? Carried. Okay. Cam, you're up.
Oh. I'm very pleased to say that after 4 and almost a half years that we are fully staffed.
Congratulations.
We, as you see in the room, we have Mrs. Tiffany Lund, who has jumped in with both feet, and this is into her 3rd week, I guess now. Look out. And last week, our new operations manager, Glenn Thrush, started on Tuesday, and he was been thrown into the fire. So lots of reading and research, and yeah, he's jumped in with both feet and taking on stuff head on. But I'm slowly bringing him up to speed with all our projects and stuff we got on the go, because there's a lot in the fire. He said after the first night, he said he didn't sleep. Wasn't sure if he made the right decision because there's so much going on, and he wasn't sure how it was all going to play out. And I just told him to take a deep breath and let it come. So it's just nice that having a fresh set of eyes on both fronts to look at things. And Tiffany's really taken on the website already, trying to get things streamlined, and brought a whole bunch of fresh ideas to that side of it. And I can tell you, Connie was quite excited when Tiffany came on and was going to take on that role. So, so we're working forward on that. We've had lots of meetings with Collier's group on the projects that they're managing, with YG on the projects that they're managing for us. We're still going back and forth with the rec center issue. I know your worship sent the letter to the minister asking for clarification as where their funding priorities are. As you may remember, after the last meeting, the minister stated that he had a hard time investing $10 million into a roof. He'd rather replace the building, which brings a whole nother bunch of questions as dollars and cents. But so that letter is in YG's court now. So we'll see where that plays out. But they're working on a plan that if that's the direction that the government wants to take, they're looking at an interim plan to do roof repairs to cover us over the next probably 4 years till we're in that stage based on the funding envelopes. So we'll see how that plays out, but we're working full steam ahead on that. The washroom, change room project is rolling right ahead. We had a meeting today with the engineers and the design architects, so that's flowing. Public waste drop-off area at the landfill. The design engineers are working on that, plans and stuff on that. We need a couple more little survey jobs, but it works. I think we're in luck because the surveyors are actually in town right now, so I think we're going to get lucky on that point, so it's not going to hold things up. As you will see at items number 11 and 12, there was no package in your package. So if I'll speak to them right now if you.
Sure.
Sorry.
Yep.
So number 11 and 12 on the agenda was the RFP for the Campbell Block leveling. And number 12 was the RFP for the Northern Light Center roof replacement. We did not receive any tenders, no bids. So we've sent out an addendum extending the closing date till the 27th of August. And when I met with Colliers today, they're actually reaching out and phoning other roofing contractors, even in Fort St. John, Prince George, because the guys in the Yukon have said that they're not taking on any more work. I talked to Superior Roofing on Friday, and he says, yeah, him and everybody, they've told YG not to put any more tenders out because of the fact that they just don't have the capacity to do any more work this year.
It's not really leaking, though, is it?
It's not leaking, but the shingles are starting to peel off. They're all curled up. So if we don't get any responses for the 27th, we've talked about what we're going to just set it down until spring, and we'll re-tender before spring, so that way the work can be completed as soon as snow goes in 2022. So.
Like the rec center, they have to put on buckets. And that's.
Well, yeah, we've got a bunch of the patches done at the rec center already. So a lot of the issues with the dripping that we had this year was from the snow covering the air handling units. And when it melted, it ran in through the ductwork. So those are things we have to get creative because there is no safety stuff on the roof of the rec center. So we have to use a man lift and actually have it up there to secure the lifelines onto. So when they're up there. So those two projects are being reevaluated as we go, and I'll know more after the 27th. And the fifth project where is managing. Oh, the energy retrofit for the lighting at the rec center. That project, the electrical engineer was in on Friday, met with him and his staff, and they did their full lighting assessment of the rec center. And at the same time, I used the same electrical engineer for the solar project that you guys asked me to work on for the water treatment plant. So he was at the water treatment plant and looked at the full electrical there, and actually had his drone out and checked out the roof and all the structure up there as well. So those projects are all rolling along, making some really nice headway. So that's where we're at in that. The admin building, there's down to like 3 minor deficiencies left on this building. After 2+ years, I was hoping we'd be closer to being done, but we're almost there. The landscaping contract was signed, and the proponent, Yukon Landscaping, Jordan Lane is the owner. They are slated to start about mid-September. And there was no issues. He said it was better to do it later, in case on the transplanting of the shrubs and the trees. That's the preferable time to do it, either first thing in the spring or late in the fall.
They can ask again.
So that's next spring.
No, this fall. They're gonna,
This fall.
September, around the 15th, they're gonna start. And he figures it'll take them about a week, 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how things go. So they're moving ahead on that one. And the municipal services building, finally seeing progress over there. The pads and stuff are poured, landscaping, or not landscaping, but site grading is underway. And they ran into an issue with the recert line where it comes into the building. There's a leak. It wouldn't build pressure on it, so they have to hydrovac underneath to repair it. But they're working towards that. They've got a plan in place. The engineers and everybody are all on the same page on getting that moving forward. So it's nice to see that there's actual headway, but they still haven't changed their completion date.
No.
Which they're aiming for the end of August. And I hate to say I don't agree with it, because the fact that the mechanical contractors require 3 weeks to commission all their infrastructure. And today's date is the 17th, and there's no 3 weeks before the end of August. So they're a long ways away from that. So
Mid-September.
mid-September, and we've made it known for the last 3 months that if they're aiming for any time after the 17th of September till October 2nd, we will not commission or take custody of that building. And the reasons is that I will not be in town on my holidays. And after the water treatment plant and all those other fiascos, I will not accept the building unless I'm personally here to be in on the inspection, because I'm the one that has to wear it after. So if I'm gonna wear something, I'm gonna be here to make sure it's right to my standard and the town standard. So, so that's where we're at. Like, we'll say where we are. We have all of our stuff that was part of the move, our move in. So appliances and shelving and partitions and all that stuff, we're ready to go. And it's all sitting here waiting on them now, because I didn't want them to say, oh, well, we're gonna want your stuff in a month and a half, and then all of a sudden they want it next week. So everything's sitting here ready to go. And Glenn's met with Public Works and the fire department to ensure they're working on a move-in plan, so that way we've got our stuff in order for when we're ready to go. So, and then once we have those dates in line, then we'll schedule the community tour, barbecue, however we want to do it, and before we move in.
Cool.
So those things are progressing that way. And yeah, so we're making headway on all those fronts, and I'm really happy to say that it's nice to happen. So, and that's it. I'm sure there'll be more questions later.
Sure.
Anything on the swimming pool? Is it defunded for the year now?
I can answer that. And that was something I had on my list. Sorry. So the swimming pool, we are waiting on the water sample to come back this week. What happened was we got everything up and running, and then the pump failed. So we got the new pump finally. It's installed. The water shocked. Sample taken, and Pacific Northwest did not deliver our water samples to the lab on time. So pool sample and all our other water samples from the town from last week didn't make it to the lab because they only have so many hours to make it there. And it's not the first time we've had issues with Pacific Northwest not getting them there. So we phoned the lab, and because it was a long weekend, they told us that we had to resubmit everything today. So Sterling took all the samples today. They were shipped, and we know they got on the truck to Whitehorse. So hopefully they'll get to the lab tomorrow, and we should have results by Thursday. I met with Alyssa. Alyssa's met with all our staff, and our 3 adult lifeguards aren't going away to school. The earliest one that's leaving for school is in January, and we intend to run the swimming pool until freeze up. So as long as it's warm in there and we can function, we're going to run it. Hours, we're aiming from like 4 to 9, but she's reached out to the schools to see if they want to run swimming in the afternoons. and we will vary our program, our hours based on that. We do have 8 hours in the day to play with, so we can move things around, but aquafit, lane swims, public swimming, all that stuff will be from when school's out at 4 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the evening.
Cool.
So we'll go as long as we can keep the building warm enough to make it so people will show up.
Cool,
Nice.
good.
I know they probably look at this anyway, but when they're shutting down the water side of Lucky Lake with the issue, I don't know, pumps and stuff like that, they drain the pumps and everything like that, right?
Taken apart. Yeah.
I figured they would, but just gotta ask.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Cam. There's a lot.
Yep.
A lot going on. Appreciate it. Great job. Next is the departmental reports.
And your worship, before we get into questions on that, you'll see that there's no report from Public Works or from Water Utilities. And those 2 reports came to me and I rejected them. And they will be coming back to the next meeting because they weren't of the quality that I wanted to come to the council.
Okay,
Thanks.
that was gonna be my first question. Okay, any other questions? Any other comments?
On all 3 of them, or?
Yeah.
No, I just find it interesting, Alyssa's report where the two young guys that were hired, it was more work to keep working than it was to.
Yeah, it's always been a struggle. And we did have some turnover there. We did fire one, and he wasn't a student employee, but he was a young adult. And we had issues with not showing up for work and not phoning, so he was terminated. And the other ones, yes, it is always a struggle with the youth because it seems to be more time on cell phones and everything, but they are working. And unless we can keep somebody there to direct them, it makes it really tough. So
I would actually make a comment that I saw Chris Dixon cutting weeds for 3 days straight in front of the signpost forest, and it looked great.
It does.
It was done. It took him a while, but it looked good. He did a good job.
So that's a student wage because we get funding for that rate. That's for their students.
Okay.
What is the wage, the hourly wage for that?
it's definitely minimum 15, 20 or whatever it is.
Okay.
It's a set rate in those funding agreements, but it's no lower than minimum wage.
I think it's a really important job and I definitely hear where Alyssa's coming from and I would love to maybe see her be able to either allot some time for somebody to supervise those kids or to maybe there's another employee that can be added to that because we have such beautiful parks and they're doing their best and it's just not enough.
Well, and then,
Nothing on them. It's not enough people.
well, and that's the problem with summertime too, right? Because staff wants to take holidays.
Yeah.
So you can't deny holidays and then we end up with some staff that were sick. So it causes those voids, but it's staffing those positions. It's always, this has been the best year for us for applications for all our positions. But unfortunately, the person that we had to terminate was the one that had worked for us before that was supposed to be the one supervising the younger ones. So it's that fine line, right? And then when we reached out to see to fill other positions, can't get anybody.
I just want to make a note. I noticed that Alyssa didn't put anything in there about the Lucky Lake dock. And I just, in case nobody has made a note about it, it really needs to be replaced, not re-topped. It needs to be
Is
replaced.
that even our property? I don't know if it is, and I don't know if we want it to be.
Yeah.
Well, that's that fine line, right? We did go and we had a complaint about, there was an issue with the stairs going up. And so our staff went and looked because we don't want somebody getting hurt.
Yeah.
And it wasn't an issue with the stairs. We don't know how the kid cut their leg,
Yeah.
but they did do other repairs to it. But it's that fine line. If it's ours, then it's a really big can of liability. And I'll have to confirm with our insurance company about where they stand on that.
On that dock.
Because it might be a deal breaker that if we have to spend any money, like try to replace it or anything, it might put us in a position where we don't have insurance. So those are things that I need to follow up with, but I will.
Well, I know that the Yukon government is who owns the other side of Lucky Lake, right? I believe. I spoke to Barry Troke, supervisor for Yukon Parks. And he said that they own that other side. So maybe there is a way that if we can get another dock, go together with them and getting something that's possibly much safer than the model we already have to try and reduce that liability.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much liability on a floating thing out in the middle of Lake YG will take on too.
Totally, but maybe they'll help us pay. for it.
Also, always been a sign there that says swim at your own risk.
Yeah,
So,
if we put it out there, like I hear what Cam's saying, it's just always been there. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is
The
great.
community loves it and certainly wouldn't want to get rid of it if we didn't have to.
But that's the thing, like, are we taking claim to that?
Well, we're the ones that have been fixing it and we're the ones that have replaced it in the past.
Yeah.
I mean, and I do think that just as another side note to that dock, if we are able to fix or replace it, it would be worth taking it out every winter so that we don't have to keep doing this all the time.
Well, I think if we got to that stage that it was a liability and insurance thing that we're covered for, I think we would look at doing like floating cells instead of a wooden made thing with screws and nails and
And rusty barrels.
rusty and stuff. I think
Totally
you could
agree.
do something professional that ecologically friendly and
Yeah,
liability
Composite.
minimalized, right?
yeah, do some
Yeah.
composite or something. Okay.
We could do though.
And, just a note about the dumps. Where they said that there may be some budget items, that would maybe put them in the red. It would be nice to.
I believe that's probably the excavator.
It would be the
That's 100%. I know what it is. I would just like that to be like, maybe put it.
Outlined in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's my fault because I did edit what he had in his report and I did take that out.
I know that
because-
that's this is his first one and completely understandable,
And
just.
the reason I took it out was the fact that it actually doesn't fall under his, but it falls under public works. So there's a blurred line there.
Okay,
So, yeah, note taken and that's on me. So.
no worries. Thank you very much. That was it for me.
Mine is also about the landfill report. I just was wondering about when they are comparing the revenue between 2020 and 2021, specifically on the landfill portion, is that just for this time period last year versus, because at the top they have like for this quarter,
Yeah.
or is this for the year?
No, that's year to date. No, sorry.
The reason why I'm asking is because there's a difference of like close to $30,000 in revenue between 2020 and 2021. And it's saying that it's because the depot was closed for 1 month. And I'm wondering if that seems like significant for just 1 month.
No, and the big things for 2021 that wasn't really clarified in here is that we've had the part of the band office and lower post has come in.
Mhm.
We've had a bunch of big buildings come in that have counted for the extra revenue. So it's not because of being closed for a month. It's because of
Okay.
the debris, but it's worded.
It does say in here, difference in revenues due to
Yeah.
COVID pandemic and that they were closed for a month.
Yeah, no, that's a fair one as well.
Okay, sorry, thanks. That's all for me. Thomas?
Good.
Thank you. John, anything from the reports? Anything from the reports? No? So we need a motion to accept them with amendments.
Actually, there was one question I had about the financial thing.
Oh, yeah. we know.
It was budgeted and then proposed or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, the proposed, was that for that little interim too, or like the budget's up till June or?
Our budget is December 31st, January 1st to December 31st. Proposed budget is the budget that was approved by council. And the year-to-date amount is the amount that's been spent.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't quite understand. Yeah.
So I guess, your worship, to enlighten on that situation, then just a little good news story for the record is that in 2018, on July 31st, We had 3,168,918 in the bank. And as of July 31st this year, we had 7,059,774 in the bank. And we also have approximately $8.9 million in gas tax in our account.
What's going on?
So we've made significant strides since we've righted the sinking ship.
Absolutely.
But that
Commend you
includes
guys.
the extra 100,000 or what was it 900 or?
Yeah, 96,000 extra they gave us, so,
Yeah.
so really we're,
Giving that back,
yeah,
yeah.
we'll just be under the 6 million, but that'll be in next year's budget.
Excellent work.
Yeah, how did we get $3 million in savings all of a sudden?
Well, it is by all the changes that we've been doing along the way, right? And a lot of it has been changes that have come from not spending our allotted budget as well. And then not spending money on equipment because we've replaced equipment, like our O&M spots. It doesn't make up $3 million, but it's
Gotcha.
been slowly building, and it was changes to the tax structure that council implemented in the last council before you guys came in as well. So all of that has come into play. And part of it as well is that we found out that some of our assets weren't listed in our audit or in our insurance audit stuff. And that changes the amount of our CMG as well. So all that stuff, there's a whole bunch of little things that fed into a big thing.
Okay, yeah, because I was under the understanding that we were like,
I can't get
even
that
with
to
COVID and
open.
everything shutting down, we were like just under $1 million to the good, like last year was like it's like 720 or something, wasn't it?
But there's a difference in between audited report, audited values, Thomas, and actual bank
I'm
values.
happy that we're like, we have money.
Yeah, audited values don't take into consider the depreciation and all our other assets, where this is true money in the bank.
Gotcha. No, it's good.
And your accounts receivables seem to be higher than normal, that people not paying taxes or?
Actually, our accounts receivables have really come down from what they were. We collected on a majority of the bad debt. So, we've made significant strides. So it's down about, I would say, over half of what it was previously. And there is some bad debt in there and some of that, the tax lien stuff. So I know Shannon's working on the final stages, I believe, on 5 properties. So town might have more properties coming on the books that we'll have to turn around and sell and write off some taxes on as well. Okay.
Some of that funding, some of that money in the bank is funding we've probably received for projects underway though.
Yes, some of it, some of it's for the equipment stuff that we haven't got in yet, but it's a very low amount because we haven't got the 200,000 from the energy upgrades yet. We did get probably 200,000 for the landfill stuff already. Some of the equipment that we've got on order, like the compact excavator you're gonna talk about later, we got some of that money, but there's not a big amount of YG money sitting there that isn't accounted for.
Okay, that's great.
Can you just say that number again for Ruth Wilkinson?
Oh,
What we have in savings?
just over $7 million in the bank right now. And that includes our GICs and everything. And then we've got $8.9 million in gas tax money in our account.
It's very exciting.
Mhm.
And it seems like dog licenses were down considerably. Is that because we don't have a bylaw officer and people were taking their chances or?
No, well, and
We had that agreement with Upper Leard or something too, didn't we?
no,
Or,
we don't. No, there's no agreement with them. Some of the license things, numbers stay static because if you have a neutered dog, you can buy a lifetime license. So that numbers really fluctuates
Oh,
during the
okay.
year. There's probably a lot out there that are unlicensed, but our public works guy is doing fairly well on catching dogs. Some twice in the same day, so.
Are all the dog fines paid up?
Maybe one outstanding one here.
Just curious.
That one will be straightened out when the utilities fees get added to the tax.
Why are you using that cable?
All right, well, thank you to all the departments for their reports. Much appreciated. And if there's no more questions, we do need a motion to accept the reports as amended.
I'll make a motion to accept the reports as amended.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Lamont, Councilor Henchar. Any more questions? All in favor? Carried. All right, do some bylaws. Third and final reading of bylaw 2106 being a bylaw to provide for grants.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'll second it.
I'll make a motion for third and final reading of bylaw 2106.
Thank you, Councilor Henchar. Thank you, Councilor Slager. Any questions?
No.
All in favor? Carried. Second reading of bylaw 2107 being a bylaw to regulate the municipal election.
I'll make a motion for second reading of bylaw 2107 to regulate the municipal election.
A second.
Thank you, Councilor Henchar and Councilor Labonte. Any questions? Carried. Second and third reading of bylaw 2108 being a bylaw to authorize the town of Watson Lake to transfer ownership of land.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Slager. Thank you, Councilor Henchar. Any questions?
That's the one that guy was waiting for, wasn't it?
Yes.
Before he could start construction.
Yep. All in favor? Carried. First and second reading of bylaw 2109, the council indemnities bylaw.
I'd like to propose an amendment.
Okay,
In keeping with other communities, I think that the mayor's salary should be 15,000 and the councilor's salary should be 10,000. That would give the mayor an increase of $5,000 and that would give the councilors an increase of $2,500.
okay,
And it would also be in line with what other communities are paying of similar size, Kings Junction, Dawson City, Faro. It would be on par with what they're paying other people in other places.
so the proposed from administration, so everybody knows, was 18,000 for the mayor and 10,000 for the councilors, correct? So you're just asking the mayor make a little less.
I would.
Okay,
It just seems $8,000 raise, $2,500 raise
yeah,
and you go from 10,000 to 18,000, it's a lot, it's a big jump. So 10,000 to 15,000 is still decent. It's like it's 50% more.
And then I think there's also something in there that it would be reviewed or increased annually based on the consumer index as well, right?
COLA.
So,
okay, well, it's a motion proposed. Thank you, Councilor Slager. Need a seconder.
I will second. I would just like to make a comment. Actually, no, I'll just second. That's it.
Did you do a first and second reading and then amendment? Or-
she said she'll.
We're just doing the
Second.
second reading, but he's asking for an amendment to the proposed bylaw. Yeah. So I got a first, I got a second. Any questions?
This doesn't actually include with any set hours for the mayor, like a request for set hours. Okay.
It's basically an annual salary.
Okay.
And then.
We had just discussed that.
And everybody, including the mayor and all of the councilors, would be eligible to also receive the extra
Per meetings.
per meeting, per DM things for travel and
As
like everything
approved by
else.
council.
Yeah, okay.
Any more questions?
No,
All in favor? Carried. Got that? Okay. Thank you, Councilor Slager.
Sorry.
Sorry. It's fine. First and second reading of bylaw, we did that. So that's it for the bylaws. And carrying on, we did the 11 and 12. So with just number 10 is the RFP 2101 for the compact excavator. Chance to see those, and you saw the recommendation.
Originally, I wondered about that one, and that isn't there any local businesses that we could lease it from, but I've been trying to get town water to my house for 2 years now, and I can't find anybody to do it, so I guess we might as well get the thing.
Get our own and make it happen.
Your worship, you'll see that the recommended proponent is Finning Canada. Their price was $170 more than Inland Kenworth, but the difference in the two, which was a real deciding factor, was the delivery timeframe, 90 days compared to 180. And this project is fully funded under gas tax.
Due to the close number, like the under $200 for the difference. Who do we have we have like a better working relationship with, and like if we need parts or service, who's better to deal with? Who's
Identical.
what's that?
They're identical.
Identical?
So that's why the recommendation was based on the delivery date, because out of the last equipment we bought the grader and the loader from Finning, and the plow truck and the skid steer came from Inland Kenworth. We've had very good success with both of them. So it came down to, do we wait 3 months or less, or wait 6 months for delivery?
Gotcha. And parts availability and
Whitehorse,
hydraulic hoses and all that jazz?
it's standard.
Always, okay.
I will make a motion to accept the recommendation from administration and direct them to move forward with option 1 that they provided to buy from Finning Canada.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Councilor Levante. Thank you, Councilor Henshaw. Any more questions? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Moving right along, I have some correspondence that now I will read to you. It is from Infrastructures and Highway regarding the waste heat.
Yes.
And it's from, how do I pronounce the name?
Preoc.
I'm just gonna read it. This is from her, she.
Sorry.
I'm the A/ADM of major infrastructure at Highways and Public Works, YG, among other things. My team manages the Green Infrastructure Program and the Energy File for Yukon Government Buildings. I am looking to formalize a new framework to create revenue streams for municipal, First Nation governments, and businesses through energy purchase agreements. Our partnership with the town of Watson Lake is already ahead of the curve on this. We have an agreement to pay the town for heating the secondary school through your heat recovery loop. Recently, we started discussions with Cam's team on the feasibility of expanding the heating loop to connect other YG buildings. Not only will the town gain a revenue stream, but YG also benefits from lowering its greenhouse gas emissions. My team has developed a framework for these types of partnerships to hopefully inspire others to find innovative, low carbon projects. I was preparing to do a vanilla media release and thought, hey, why don't we do this as a story that features our Watson Lake project? So I'm writing to seek your concurrence on whether the town would be interested in being referenced in a media release about this program. I think it'll be a welcome story and show leadership as well as government to government collaboration on climate file. Cam and I can sort out the details.
So he's looking for motion from council to support some of what's in the media release.
Just highlighting our waste heat.
Yeah, and cooperation with the Yukon government and trying to save them emissions and us profit.
Sounds great to me.
I'll make that motion.
Thanks, Councilor Slager. Thanks, Councilor Levante. Any questions? Carry. Okay, thanks, Cam. Counselor open forum.
I have a couple things. I am just curious about, apparently there has been some issues with the lot next door to the municipal services building with water. I'm just wondering if Cam could maybe speak to that. I had somebody approach me in town about it, and I'm just curious what is going on.
Well, because our lot is at the same level as road level.
Yes.
The vacant lots that are next door are undeveloped lots, which has some low areas in it. The water always flows that direction because there's no ditches on that street. So the owner of those properties has raised concerns that the town is flooding their property. Water was always going onto that property, and we've always had to pump water from that area. I've advised the citizen to please put something in writing to the municipality so we can respond.
Okay.
Thus far, they have not.
Okay. I did ask them to do the same. I just, wanted to know what that was about. Is there? I already know the answer to that. Okay, I have one more. We have talked about a few times over the past year that maybe we would like to separate parks and rec in the upcoming, in the budgeting process so that we have a better look. And I'm just curious whether we need to make a motion on that to make that. Okay.
And that's something that I've spoken with Shannon about already.
Okay.
And I think you guys brought it up last time she was here. And that's a budgetary thing.
Yeah.
It's separating line items. It's really a shell game. It still comes out of the same pot. It's just a matter of titles.
Yeah, okay, excellent. That's it, I think, for me.
Thanks, Counselor Levante.
Oh, sorry, I have one more.
Kelly.
I'm just curious about the Northern Light Center roof. It's shingles right now, and are we planning on redoing shingles? And if we would consider tin, is there somebody in town?
That's right.
The issue with tin is that all that snow load on that high roof, because of snow guard, you have to put snow guards on there because if that snow slides, then we have bigger issues off that high roof.
Destroys.
So when we talked with the consultants about it, it was advised to stick with asphalt
Okay.
shingles,
Okay.
singles.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I was gonna ask you about the pool, but you've already addressed that. I am curious, now that you've filled the operations manager position, what the plans are for the CAO house, since it won't be needed for that position theoretically. Is that, any thoughts?
Actually, I spoke with his worship about that a while ago, that we were gonna wait to have somebody in the position and then look at putting a report into council to see with different recommendations.
Yeah.
If we keep the residents, we're gonna have to dump a bunch of money into it. It needs a new deck and it needs work up to the siding and stuff on it. So I guess, and then where do we go with that? Because we don't have many instances. We've been trying to staff locally and,
Is it paid off?
oh, it was bought cash.
Okay.
Long time, originally, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, personally, my point of view is that council, we could turn around and sell it, put it on the market and actually try to help the local housing market by actually having a realtor sell it. So we can actually get a defined amount, which will set some ground rules, standards for the community. But my plan is to get you an admin report regarding that house, and I wanted to get some estimates as cost repairs so it can put it all into perspective for you.
Awesome.
I have one more thing, which I wasn't sure if I was gonna say it or not, but I just was going back to the excavator from the landfill. I think that was a big bill. I'm just wondering what, if and what like steps are being implemented to make sure that something like that doesn't happen again.
Well, I guess it's one of those, I don't know, it's not lack of maintenance on the piece of equipment. It was a pipe that broke that's inside the housing that was
couldn't even see it until they had ripped the whole
Okay.
housing off.
It just kind of sounded like when you reported it the first time that it was maybe like, you know, something
Walk around.
didn't happen initially, and then, you know,
Yep.
that something that was maybe preventable, I
Yeah, no,
guess.
definitely wasn't. I spoke with a mechanic personally, and it was an unpreventable failure.
Okay.
And we do have, Glenn's been dealing with the supplier of the new motor. They believe they have one found for us in Canada. And we're talking about $31,000 to replace that motor.
Yeah,
So it's an unfortunate thing, but I definitely checked with Chad and the crew, and
mhm.
actually since our new hire at the landfill has taken over, the walk around and stuff and the maintenance on that equipment has actually gone up.
Okay.
So it's not a slight of our operator. It is a failure that was unpreventable.
I mean, that's good and bad to hear.
So
Okay, thank you. That's all for me. Thanks.
John, you have any questions?
I had one of the slip my mind. Listening to that, yeah, not forget it, I guess.
Okay,
907 Ravenhill. Do we ever find out whose lot that is and ask them about that tree?
yeah, it is a YG
I have another one after this.
property.
And they don't want to cut it, or what do they want?
We're
Falls on the
going
road?
back and forth because nobody seems to want to step up and do things,
I'll
but
cut it.
well,
No, it just bothers me so much.
actually truthfully, I think it's an interim protected property. So that's where we get into all this real bunch of gray area. So it's something that we're still chasing. It's on my note on my desktop.
Okay, well, so just so when it does fall, and I could just say, I told everyone so.
It's another real nasty one.
Anyway, that, and my other thing is the 5 o'clock siren. Can we make it at 5 o'clock instead of 7?
The plan is to reset it when it moves to the new building.
Okay,
So that will be our celebration thing for you.
I'd like that because it's called the 5 o'clock siren for a reason, 5 o'clock. And I get why we moved it in support. I do understand that.
Yeah.
However, we're coming out of the COVID.
are we?
Hopefully.
Well, we're supposed to.
We'll see.
And
I'd like to see it go back.
Lucas goes to bed at 7 when he hears the sirens.
That's how you know it's time to go home for supper.
Yeah, okay.
so, yeah, the siren thing is a whole nother can of worms. We tried to have it added into the costs of the new building, like absorbed.
Yeah.
It came back that it was $12,000 to move the siren and put it on the new building.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we promptly said thank you, and so we've been in discussions locally to have it
Okay.
installed appropriately.
I just wanted to ask quickly about the streetlights that we were purchasing for Ravenhill. I was just wondering if you had heard when that project's supposed to start, and if we ever heard back from LFN about maybe partnering on that.
So that project's been signed off. We're waiting on Patco as to when they have a crew and they're willing, or it's in their queue to do it.
Mhm.
So we're at their mercy now. And no, we did not hear back from LFN.
Okay,
No response. We did hear from the hospital corporation and they're willing, I think I provided you guys with
yeah,
that letter.
third or whatever.
So, yeah, they're still prepared to chime in, but LFN, no.
Hmm. Is it, I don't know, worth a follow-up letter, or do you think it's just a no?
I think it's a moot point at this point.
Mm.
Worth bringing up, but I don't know.
We never got a response from them either to go along with the lighting on the
Mhm.
lights to 2 Mile either, so. And I figured they would have been the first ones to chime in, being it's their community. But nothing officially from Elephant,
Okay.
our chief and council.
Thanks.
Yeah, I remember now. Several months ago, I had mentioned the concept of possibly separating parks and recreation. And they kind of went around, and, the fear was that we're going to create a new bureaucracy somewhere. But I think it's important in the budgetary process, if somehow or other we can get a clearer picture of what it actually costs to run the community center, and what it costs to run parks.
versus, yeah,
Like there's some overlaps there.
yeah.
And I think in budgeting, they could-
You're
the
absolutely,
way they keep time and stuff, they could try to separate that a little bit.
yes, sir.
Because
Budgetary.
Everybody screams when they hear a $1 million budget for
Recreation.
the recreation, when, who knows?
Well,
It's not actually.
And I can give you an example. Right now, where we're not running ice plants or anything other than lights at the rec center, last month's power bill was $4,500. So huge expense.
Mhm.
So hopefully lighting upgrades and that kind of stuff will help, but
And are the lights even on?
not in a lot of the building.
Oh,
Well, hopefully we won't be using those giant, what are those?
No, everything will be state of
Battery acid.
the art LED things, so we'll be in the phones, but yeah, no, it's a huge cost. So, yeah, no, definitely, it'll be addressed in the budget submissions.
the only thing well, we have our survey results for the naming of the new municipal services building in front of us. It's great. I love it. I don't think it's done yet. We don't have to make a decision on it at this point. So we can carry on and ask people to fill out the survey. And
Survey still live?
Still available.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. The link so I can share it, not on Facebook.
It's on the website as well.
Okay.
But if there was some way we could get it out to the public that doesn't necessarily use the internet, I don't know how we can do that, but if we can think of a way, and I know the town crier we haven't done for ages, so we maybe.
It's not very COVID friendly, but could we put like a little box at the store where you could,
Well, yeah, it could be a little survey there. If it's only
No,
4 questions.
if you just-
Pamphlet, we'll peel and stick.
I don't know about the communal pencil, but you know.
We can use old, we'd use
Yeah.
clean,
Mhm.
it's not a big deal.
Do you know what I mean though? Like a
Yep.
little,
And other than that, I
On
didn't,
the OCP meeting that you had last week,
We
I
didn't.
mean, do we get a report of what was discussed there, or?
Yes, there's another survey out, by all means, fill it in, please. There will be minutes coming back from Stan Tech regarding the feedback that they did get. Feedback was very, very low. But I guess the guiding, shining light of the public meeting was the fact that Chief Charlie, Councillor Brown, and Councillor Lutz, along with a consultant, showed up to the meeting
hmm,
representing LFN. I'm not sure if they were there just to seek information, but they were at least in attendance and did ask some questions. So our consultant at Stantec now has the contact information with their consultant. So she was going to be reaching out to see if she could get some more feedback from them. But it was very enlightening to see them in the room. Truthfully, you could have called it a mayor and council and chief of council meeting, because really that was all that was in
the
the
people who are
room.
there.
There was 2 councillors, myself,
Justin.
and the only other one that was in the room was Justin Brown.
And Delise.
And Delise popped in, yeah.
Mhm.
She was working next door, so, but it was nice to see them show up, which was a huge step. So I've asked for that feedback to come from Stantec, and I've also asked them to implement any changes that were brought forward and presented to council, so.
Can I just ask, was there a closing date on the new survey and where can you access that?
I think,
Is that just Facebook as well, or?
There is a closing date, I just can't remember what it was, 26th or something?
27th maybe,
27?
and I think you put it on the website as well, Tiffany?
On the town website?
Yeah,
Okay.
town website and Facebook.
It's just like a link to a Survey Monkey?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting when there's nothing controversial being discussed, nobody shows up, but.
Oh, yeah.
The minute you make a decision, if somebody doesn't like it, there's a crowd.
The only comment that I know came back from their consultant was that it's sort of a 2-pronged thing, that they said that there's 2 different types of interim protective land, which we didn't know about, and we haven't found any documentation regarding that. I've asked Jordan to actually see if he could do some homework on that one for me. And then the other comment they made was that, well, why does the town get to say what the zone, like what the zoning is for interim protected land? And Zoe said, well, part of it has to do that you're not setting up a service station or industrial business in a residential area. You know, and she said, if you guys want a designation for your interim protected land, then please provide us with feedback, because if you don't give us feedback, then we proceed based on the previous OCP and compliant with all the house, the area around it.
Mhm.
So,
And whether or not we're the ones that decide or develop or work with YG or LFN, it still needs to be zoned.
exactly.
So hopefully we'll be able to collaborate with them more on that to decide what it's gonna be.
That's for gallery open forum.
Who's that?
We'll ask you, we'll read it out at gallery open forum, which we're gonna move to right now. Right?
Yep.
So Janice wrote, I guess I would just like to say that we did not go to the OCP meeting because we have contacted both Stantec and the OCP committee and don't really feel like people really listened. Okay. It's unfortunate. I mean, the comments are comments. I guess it's taken the way it's taken. I don't know what to say. As long as your comments were presented, then that's the best we can do, right, Janice?
And this,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been back to council yet.
Right.
It hasn't had a first reading or anything. It's strictly draft information, and like I say, council hasn't fed any information back into it yet.
Yeah.
So there could be changes coming, so.
Okay. I'll go through the list for gallery open forum. Janice, you're first up. Did you want to add anything else to your comment? One new message there. Hampton School.
No comment.
Okay, thank you, Janice. Ruth Wilkinson. Do you have any comments?
I always have something to say.
Good.
Just one thing that in driving by and stuff, there are some places that are really, really dangerous actually for kids getting into or whatever. They look like abandoned places. I don't know if there's anything that can be done on how to get that stuff or those properties encouraged to clean up, or if it's held up with insurance or absentee landlords or whatever, I don't know.
You're thinking residential.
Yeah, residential, yeah. And then the other thing I had was with talking with Aaron the other night, it sure would be nice to have a celebration of some sort. And we had sort of talked like how we used to have a fall fair. And you know, it always usually works around food of some sort, but I don't know. I've just been throwing that out, whether anybody else has thought of that or how we used to do that type of thing, but it would sure be nice to look forward to a new season and finish off the summer with something like that.
I think they've been doing a little bit of an extra like harvesty fair kind of thing at the farmer's market in the fall. Maybe that's something that we can like expand on, Ruth, if you want to get together and brainstorm.
Maybe mention your same comment to the Chamber of Commerce, who
Yes.
I know are interested in fundraising, so they might be keen on doing something jointly.
Yeah, the hardest thing, your worship, right now is we still have guidelines on those COVID guidelines on some of those events. So even we ran into it at the open house, everything that we had there for the coffee and tea had to be individually wrapped, and you couldn't, you know, it's not where you could just go serve. It has to be, there's so many little guidelines on that. So it's something that has to be kept in consideration.
I agree, Ruth. There hasn't been much for gatherings, that's for sure. But we're still kind of dealing with COVID. I think our vaccination rate has gone up in Southeast Yukon, but it's still not, we're still the lowest in the Yukon.
No, below Faro, yeah. Or no, below Ross
Ross
River.
River.
Ross River is below 50%.
Yeah, but we're only.
69,
Yeah. First shot,
first shot, yes.
69%. So we still have a ways to go before we can feel really safe. Anything else, Ruth?
No, that's all good.
Okay,
Nice to be doing with our hunting season, and we've got clients coming in and all of that, and just nice to, the horses were excited to get to the bush, and yeah, so.
okay. Glad to hear it. Yeah, we're starting to see some tourists as well, which is a welcome sight, honestly. Okay, thanks, Ruth. Jordan Stackhouse.
Hey guys, Council, Your Worship, thank you. Just I'll chime in because I got some really recent vaccine data that I don't think I've shared with you guys yet. I just got last week, but there's currently 1,331 people eligible in Watson Lake for the vaccine. 59% have both shots and 68% have had at least one dose of the vaccine. So that's accurate as of August 12th. So like a week, 5 days ago. So there you go. And I don't know if there was any questions for me, but Cam kind of covered all the things we're working away on in the background. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So
Just that, do you have any more information on our interim protected lots, Jordan? Is there, you guys have any more that you can share, what they are, how they came about, anything like that?
not at this time, Your Worship, but like that's something, you know, that we can revisit. So yeah, like just like for your information, I guess, like, you know, we continue to have discussions with other departments, including Aboriginal relations, just understanding the nature of, like, I guess Watson Lake's, town of Watson Lake specific issue around the OCP, but other issues as well that we're trying to sort through. So and the interim protected lands, of course, play a part in that. And so I've been eager to kind of come to council with a bit of a holistic, for a bit of a holistic discussion, because I think there's a lot of questions that council might have just about the nature of sharing really like your town and the place you live with non-settled First Nation and Liard First Nation. So you know, it's fair to say, I think, like you guys are right on the leading edge of that kind of those discussions, the forefront of those discussions as well. So but that being said, like, I guess to answer your question specifically, if there was something you wanted to really dig into, like the interim protected, that's something that I couldn't answer, but I could certainly provide a person or some information to council about that. I just don't want to do it in a vacuum. I want to give council a full picture, and that's what I was kind of, Cam and I have been working towards, you know, kind of piecing this puzzle together and what that looks like.
Okay, well, we can wait for, like you say, a holistic discussion on it, because it is, I just get asked questions about it all the time. I don't know exactly where they came from, how they're used, how, like, and it's not even from the municipal side, it's from the First Nation side as well. They don't quite understand how that property works. So yeah, just we can have more conversation about that going on.
Sure. I'll just add one more thing, Your Worship. Sorry. I think like that will become clearer as we work more towards getting your guys' OCP passed, right? And I'm really pleased to hear there was some engagement from some members of LFN Council, and hopefully that bears fruit, those discussions. And I think so as we get closer to that and YG needing to, you know, approve that and that kind of thing, we'll have some answers for sure. So I'm glad that process is continuing to move forward.
Okay. I don't think there was anything else that I have for you, except that we only have 3 meetings left. So sad. I heard that you might be retiring from YG, so that would be even sadder.
Yeah, well, we'll see what the future holds. And yeah, definitely, like, you know, one thing I did want to just pique your curiosity with just was like any outstanding things that you want to get done. Like Councillor Slager, I'm sorry, it's probably not going to be the streetlights, but you know, if there's anything that we wanted to try to tackle within the last like month or 2 here that you think we could get done, I'll be happy to dig my teeth into something.
Okay, well, that's good to know. We're kind of coming out of the summer. We only had one meeting a month, so we're all kind of just getting, we'll finish strong. Say that. Okay, thanks.
We've never not been strong, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know. Finish stronger. Say that. Okay, thanks, Jordan. Thanks so much.
Yeah, my suspicion on that interim land would be that the one would be category one, possibly category one if they settled, and category two if they settled. That's just my suspicion.
Yeah, but he was actually, the consultant was actually referring about land right inside the municipal boundaries, so which was sort of a little more confusing because.
Oh, yeah, that,
Are they talking about maybe the airport periphery versus protected land?
Yeah, and they also made a comment that that they thought the interim protected land that they were provided was based on the town of Watson Lake not approving the area that they wanted, which really made me scratch my head because I thought that the town of Watson Lake wouldn't be involved in that conversation, it'd be YG and the feds. So anyways, it's something that we'll have to wait to see how it plays out.
So that's all something that was part of the umbrella final agreement, and then the Casca people decided not to be part of the umbrella final agreement. So I'm guessing that's where we would find that information of how they work.
I guess we'll have more of a holistic conversation about the whole thing and we'll find out some real details about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will move out of gallery open forum and I need a motion to go in camera for a legal matter today.
I'll make a motion to go in camera.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Carried. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. You can stay. No, we're gonna.
Come back later if you want, but
We're going in camera. Good night.